Good evening and welcome, everyone. The last concert of the year. Exciting concert is also an emotional concert, obviously. More about that later. We're going to begin with music by Antonio Vivaldi, also known as Il Prete Rosso, the red-haired priest. Vivaldi was a contemporary of Bach and Handel, but we're talking Italian Baroque here. I would say Vivaldi was really ahead of his time. And I notice it especially rhythmically speaking. For the ones of you that have played an instrument, you know we count to 4, and then we count to 4, and so forth. Mr. Vivaldi, he didn't really care so much about where those bar lines were. If you listen very carefully in the slow movement of the Vivaldi, you will notice that every now and then it feels like we should count 5. And that is really ahead of his time. We have taken a lot of liberties here, and I know Mr. Vivaldi is not in the audience tonight, and that's a little bit of a relief for me. This is a concerto grosso, and what that means is that we're supposed to have a small orchestra, and then we have 3 soloists, 2 violins and 1 cellist. We don't care about that. We're all playing solo. Almost all of us. There is no solo bass or viola part. So what are we doing here? I asked all first violins to play the solo part. I asked all second violins to play the solo part. And I asked about half of the viola section, hey guys, can you please play second violin? And they said, sure, no problem. Okay, and I asked all cellos to play the solo part. So we are taking some liberties here, but I find it very exciting to do that. So I hope you will enjoy this Vivaldi Concerto Grosso.
Okay, we're going to take you 200 years forward. This is an American composer, and his name is Howard Hansen. Howard Hansen was a Pulitzer Prize winning composer, and he's also noted for being the director of the Eastman School of Music at the University of Rochester for 40 years. And while he was at the Eastman School of Music, he was able to have promote American literature and music so that the, American composers had a chance to have their works performed and commissioned at the Eastman School of Music. I first became intrigued with Howard Hansen's music when I was in what was then the Honolulu Youth Symphony, which is now the Hawaii Youth Symphony. And we did a piece by Howard Hansen entitled The Overture to his opera Marymount. And I thought, this is really a neat piece, and I was so excited. So when I went to Eastman as a student, I was so excited to see if I would be able to see Howard Hansen. He had already retired by the time I was there. But students said to me, he said, you know, he comes to the school often, and you can't miss him because he looks like Colonel Sanders. And so one day in the main hall, I was standing there, and through the main entrance comes Howard Hansen, and he looked just like Colonel Sanders. He dressed exactly like him. And for me, it was just like meeting a rock star. And he was extremely friendly. He just said hello, and he said, wow, he said hello to me. So I was excited to see him, and I'm excited to play this piece. This piece is, well, it comes back from his heritage. He was born in Wahoo, Nebraska, and to Swedish immigrant parents. So these two rhythmic variations on two ancient hymns are really two Scandinavian hymns. And so I hope you enjoy this. At this time, we'd like to recognize 16 seniors who have really been a joy to have in class. Some of them we've had since, I guess, the 6th grade. And it's been wonderful to watch them grow and mature as great musicians, but they leave a void. Their great talent will surely be missed, but we hope that their next journey will be a highly successful and enjoyable one.
Orchestra is a little bit unique in a way that, like Mr. Young said, sometimes we have students for a number of years. We're not talking a semester or a year. We might be talking 6 years. And you build relationships. And seniors, it's been a true privilege and pleasure. Please stay in touch. Okay.
I'd like to recognize Gwyneth Ten. Stand up, Gwyneth.
Please stand up once your name.
Preston Chi. Ashley Hong. Kai Asakura. Emmy Harstad. Flora Elham. Daniel Yu. Paisley Asato. Those of you with the lays, will you please present them with their lays? We don't practice this, obviously.
We will continue with Dylan Yonoshai. Victor Lee. Cheney Chung. JC Yogi. Reina Yamauchi. Brennan Suihiro. Nessa Michaud. And Isabel Morida.
Thank you, seniors, for so many great years. And I hope you remember some of your best years at Punahou was spent at 7:30 in the morning in Symphony. This next piece, I Vow to Thee, My Country, is actually a British patriotic hymn. It got its text from actually a British ambassador to the United States. His name was Sir Cecil Spring Rice. And he wrote this poem. And interesting enough, Ambassador Rice at that time influenced the administration of President Woodrow Wilson to have the United States abandon neutrality and join them in the war against Germany, which was World War I. Mr. Rice did write this poem. So the English composer Gustav Holst was inspired by this poem, and he decided he'd like to adapt it into one of his pieces that was already published and performed. This piece was a suite called The Planets, and he had a movement called Jupiter. And in the middle section of Jupiter is where he took this hymn tune, and presented it adapted it to this, the lyrics of this poem. So this particular hymn is often sung in churches now. It's been included in a lot of hymnals of various churches, and And it's often played at ceremonial functions, patriotic and ceremonial functions throughout the world.
We are going to end this concert in a very festive way. The symphony number 35 by Mozart was written in 1782. Mozart was 26 years old. He had another 9 years to live. Interesting with this piece is that Mozart very reluctantly wrote this piece. Mozart was asked by his father, Leopold Mozart. He said, "You need to write this symphony for our friend Sigmund Hafner, who was a benefactor of the Mozart family and their music." And Mozart simply said, "I have no time whatsoever to write this piece, but of course, Father, I will write this piece for you." As the story goes, Mozart deliberately sent the symphony to his father too late. So it arrived 2 days after the event it was needed. Mozart's father, in turn, it took him several months to return the music to Mozart. And I'm going to quickly read a quote here. So when Mozart got the music back, he wrote, "My new Hafner symphony has positively amazed me," he wrote, "for I had forgotten every note of it. It must surely produce a good effect." Anyway, the symphony was a huge success. And part of the reason we know this is that Emperor Joseph II stayed for the entire concert. He never did that. Anyway, so we will play the first and the last movement of Mozart, Symphony number 35. And with this, we say thank you to all of you for coming tonight. Thank you for supporting us.
Thank you.